Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am TheSaffronMan and one half of RedVsRed, where two fans from across the world talk about the club that we love. It's going to be a panic room situation today because I think we're both kind of just wanting to destroy things with our frustration, but we're going to try and cohesively talk through what's just happened at West Ham United. And I don't know where to start, but I'll start by introducing obviously Sporadiclese. How you doing, man? It's been a hectic week, and we've got to this point. How are you feeling?
Try from your last statement is the operative word. I don't know how much cohesive thought we're gonna get today, because what on earth just happened? Not a good day for the boys in red. So I guess we're gonna have to piece this all together and try and figure out where the heck we went wrong.
I'm trying to think about where I've gone wrong in life, let alone where we've gone wrong in this match. This
This one makes you question. This one makes you question.
I'm questioning everything. I'm questioning the talent of the players, the mentality of the players. I'm questioning the staff. I see Rude is angry. I'm seeing people care. I just don't know what the problem and what the answer is. Like, I'm almost lost for words doing a podcast, and I'm just so angry. But let's start with the lineup. We've got loads to get through. We're going to be talking about Bruno. We're going to talk about Delone. But let's just go through the lineup and just kind of start from there. Like Sporadiclese, first half, kind of break it down. What was your takeaway from it?
I mean, the first half made me think that we were going to give West Ham an absolute drubbing today. As many as we hit the woodwork twice. Alejandro Garnacho was getting in behind the defense. He did that multiple times. Bruno Fernandes had a wide open header from just past the 6-yard box. Like, we looked like a proper team today in the first half. To me, this everything was pointing to we were going to have a really big win today against a team who I thought coming into this was better than what their results thus far in the season has shown. And I don't think that the first half that West Ham really looked up to the match. I thought that we were raring and ready to go. There was no execution at the end of the day. You can put together all of the nice, pretty passes in the world and get in behind the defense and have shots on target. But if you're not putting the ball in the back of the net, then there's a serious problem. And, I think I look at the first half and I say, about the match as a whole, that we lost a lot more than just the 3 points today.
There's for those who don't know, a little bit of context. So when you come to West Ham, right, they're obviously East London, and they're a bunch of hard Londoners who sing "I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles" and they get away with it, right? So and then they got the Green Street Elite. Like the context is they were so lucky to get given this Olympic stadium because their old stadium very small, and they own them. Like, they really represent their club in that stadium. They know that they're lucky to have it, and it's they're called the Hammers, right? And their work ethic is just, we want this more than you. We'll out-fight you and out-tussle you. And they didn't turn up in that first half, right? And we have to punish them. We have to. We knew West Ham weren't going to get any worse than that in the second half. That was as bad as West Ham have probably been all season, and yet we haven't scored a goal. It doesn't matter if it's hit the woodwork. It doesn't. We should be scoring multiple goals against that kind of quality of West Ham that we were up against in that first half. And because we didn't pull the trigger, we have now... this result has got ramifications all like this. People are going to look back to this moment where things like people like myself, are now questioning everything that's happening at Manchester United. Like you mentioned, like I'm questioning everything Ineos, let alone the players on the pitch. We can all see that things aren't right on the pitch, but I'm now questioning everything all over again because that second half performance and that first half performance, it was not good enough. And you can name one or two players, but it's just more than that. No one's got the answer. And it's more than Ten Hag, it's more than Ineos, there's just, I don't know, man. Help me out. What's going on? What is the answer?
I mean, one or two players, like I'll call out the front four. I'll call out each and every one of them right now. Each and every one of those players had an opportunity in the first half. We had 4 big chances in that first half. We should have been so far gone in terms of, like, we should have been able to pack up, hit the bus at halftime, and go home with 3 points. And the fact that we didn't even get a goal out of that's embarrassing. Like, I'm embarrassed at this point. There needs to be goals. Like, nobody should have an excuse for why they didn't get on the score sheet, out of those front 4. Again, like Garnacho, multiple opportunities. He cut in and took that opportunity, and typically he bends he'll bend the opportunity into the far corner. Just miffed it wide. Just straight line, gone. Hit the woodwork too. Bruno Fernandes, wide open header, just outside of the 6-yard box. And it goes over. How does that happen? Even Diogo Dalot had an opportunity. He gets in behind the defense, touches the ball around the goalkeeper, and sends it high and wide with an open net. We sit here and we amped up all of his attacking prowess and what he brings to the table that Aaron Wan-Bissaka doesn't. And then you do something like that, you have a performance like that, and he wasn't any good on defense either.
So with Dalot, right, he's at a mentality where he thinks he's a seasoned pro now. Now, he started when he was young, and he's gone through a lot, he's gone to numerous clubs, and he's at a point where he thinks he's a seasoned pro. But then, when you think of other seasoned pros, like Kieran Trippier, Kyle Walker, like 33, 34 years old. What's the low? Like 26, 27? So he's still got like 7 years to go to try. But he thinks he's there. And he's not. You see, defensively, he gives up. You go at Liverpool, where he's like holding his hands up like 10 seconds into the match that he's let his runner go. And today, he just let the runner go so many times. And going forward, he lapses the focus and concentration to make the pass. So he's not very good offensively. You can't depend on him defensively. And yet we've sold Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who was probably man of the match today, for £15 million. And like I said at the start, Mazraoui's pretty good. And he is. Mazraoui did really well out on the left today. But you take Dalot and Wan-Bissaka on the right-back position, it's night and day. I don't understand how they've got him for so cheap for 15 million. You can't sell Dalot for 15 million after that performance.
No, absolutely not. I mean, you talk about offensive output between Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Diogo Dalot. They're pretty comparable at this point because, Aaron Wan-Bissaka wasn't really getting a whole lot in terms of, assists or crucial passes at the final moment, but neither has Diogo Dalot. And then you look at their defensive performance, and Diogo Dalot is regularly not tracking his man, missing key tackles, and caught out of position. And Aaron Wan-Bissaka was almost never any of those things. And Dalot is not going to get any help from Rashford starting on his side. And so you look at probably one of our weakest points on defense, and then you put Marcus Rashford in front of him week in, week out. You're just asking to get exploited, and he's been getting exploited all season. He has to do better. Erik ten Hag has to do better. We need somebody in front of him that's actually going to provide a little bit more support. I think Alejandro Garnacho fills that role a little bit better. Mazraoui, who's been a great defender for us, in my opinion, and also a lot better on the offensive side of the ball. Maybe you put Rashford in front of him instead. I don't know. You've gone with the pairing of Dalot and Rashford all season, and it's not worked, and it's been exploited every single week or every single weekend at the very least, because every single Premier League team knows Diogo Dalot doesn't have cover, and he's not performing well on defense. Exploit that, and every team has done it to great effect. It's even happened in Europa League, like. We went up against Porto, and then they came back and scored 3 goals on us, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It's just embarrassing, and something needs to change. And I think that Dalot is one of those changes that needs to be made. Amos needs to get more time. We need to get him time anyways, because we didn't put him out on loan. We couldn't put him out on loan because we don't have the options. And then you look at this season and who all we've played in the position that Harry Amos would fill, and he's not gotten a single minute of time yet.
Yeah.
What on earth is going on there?
Yeah, he's trying to go with stability at the back, and the only variability really is the switching of roles of Mazraoui and Dalot if and whenever needed. And to be fair, Mazraoui has looked good on either side. Like, he was one of our better performers today. One of the players that can probably hold the head up, I suppose. And he looks good on the right hand side.
Injured.
Yeah, but Dalot, he looks semi-comfortable on the left, and he's unproductive on the right. So how Harry Amos is not getting some minutes here, I don't understand. Against West Ham's probably a tough ask to start, but this is why you should have given him minutes weeks ago. Like, he was in pre-season. His season's already delayed now, and now our season might be suffering because we don't have any options, because we haven't been giving this lad a chance to give some minutes. It needs to be Mazraoui and Amos. Like, it needs to be just for an option to give Dalot a rest, give his mindset. Like, this has not been. It's been a tough period for everyone, so everyone deserves a break. It's a squad game. Dalot is not at the standard that he needs to be starting at Manchester United 90 minutes week in, week out, when he's making mistakes in the front and the back, and he gives up mentally. If you give up mentally, you shouldn't be putting the shirt on. That's
no.
You're not ready. So go and take some time off and go back to the grassroots or whatever, and get in the right mental state of mind where you don't give up chasing players back as a defender, and you don't get your head in the clouds when you're about to cross the ball or have a shot. Focus,
here's the thing,
driven
though.
mentality.
If you want to talk about players giving up on tracking their attacking players, every single person on our back line has done that regularly this season. Martinez has done. I think the only person that probably hasn't done that as much is Mazraoui. The only times that it's looked like he's kind of lost his player is because he has 2 players to mark, because other people are losing theirs. De Ligt has done it. He did it in the Europa League. That's why we got multiple goals scored on us from the same exact attacking options, just swinging the ball in on Dalot's side. Dalot lost track today. He's lost track many times before. That's why we're getting so many crosses coming in from his side of the pitch. Martinez has done it. He did it in the same game that De Ligt was doing it, which is why, again, we lost to FC Porto. You know who didn't give up on tracking their man midweek?
Go on.
Ugarte. How do you justify playing Christian Eriksen in back-to-back games at his age, whenever he's been having to do that week in, week out for the last 3-4 weeks, and then Ugarte, in my opinion, in that Fenerbahce game, played like a man on a mission, and then you put in Casemiro and Christian Eriksen. Like, I 100% question Erik Ten Hag
but
there.
Eriksen's been our player of the season so far this season.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
he deserves to start.
Yeah.
But my point is, Manuel Ugarte, who has been having a poor season because he's played 3 matches and he hasn't looked great in them because he's still adapting, has a phenomenal performance, doesn't give up on the man, which saved us a goal against Fenerbahce, and running all over the pitch like a madman, coming in with clutch tackles, and then you start Casemiro, a couple days later.
But you have
I
to.
don't, I
So
don't, I don't get that.
I do understand that a little bit. Now, look, Ugarte, he put himself out in Europe quite a bit. He could have taken up a knock. Who knows? He's a very competitive player, like you say. But against West Ham, you need something a little bit. You need a little bit of class to open them up, right? And otherwise, Ugarte against West Ham is a potential red card situation because of the atmosphere, of the type of players that West Ham are. They're very physical. Agate's not going to turn down from that. He's going to go in for. It's just asking for a bit of trouble where Casemiro is dangerous enough. Eriksen's not going to go in with a 2-footed challenge. It's a safe, technical kind of midfield choice. Again, it is semantics, isn't it? I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see it. I mean, all those things that you just said, Martinez does too. Granted, he's probably, he's definitely one of our top 2 center backs, especially in terms of availability. So, I mean, you can't really say no to that. But I mean, you mentioned needing to create chances. We created plenty of chances, and Casemiro wasn't necessarily involved in a lot of those chances in the first half. So really, at the end of the day, what are you losing there? In my opinion, I mean, and hindsight is 20/20, obviously, right? So I would not have picked Casemiro to start against this West Ham team personally. I wasn't going to pick him. I unfortunately was not able to get my predicted lineup around, but I would have definitely picked Ugarte for this. This is one of those teams in the Premier League that you need your players to have experience against if they're going to be in your starting lineup on a regular basis. This is not an easy team to go and play against at their home pitch, and it's a good learning opportunity for so many players. And so now you've got Dalot, who's going to have to be in for the foreseeable future because it looks like Mazraoui picked up a serious injury, in my opinion. It was low to no contact. I mean, yeah, his knee was kind of bent, but that could be out. He could be out for multiple weeks, if not a couple months, just at first glance. And so I really don't love that, obviously. But yeah, now Dalot's going to have to play. And so are we just going to keep playing him on the left where he's shown that he can't do anything and put Victor on the right?
Lindelof will go right back, wouldn't he? Dalot go left back.
Yeah. And I swear if Harry Amos does not get minutes in the next few weeks, not against Chelsea, I would not play him against Chelsea.
I mean, you'll probably put Lisandro Martinez at left back for Chelsea and Dalot at right back. And then for any other, it will switch it around. Lindelof will get some time at right back and Dalot will go left back and just.
Well, I mean, at this point, we're just a hindrance for Harry Amos. So if I were in his boots, I would be very mad that I did not have some type of other out during the transfer window.
But not even just for Harry Amos. What about, like we talked about, there's like 20 wonder kids in our academy at the moment, and they all know that we don't really have a left back, and their best left back that's coming through, the generational talent left back, isn't getting a whiff of any minutes whatsoever, and we don't have a left back. So, God, what the other midfielders and strikers must be thinking when we've just bought in, or like they must think, Ethan Wheatley must think he's got no chance in hell. We've got 1 or 2 people in front of him, and he's still not going to. It's just crazy for Harry Amos. I don't know. Usually Ten Hag is like, he believes in the youngsters, Kobe Mainu and everyone, like he's good at bringing it. So there must be something. Whether he's not quite ready yet or whether he thinks he's frail in a certain area, maybe he's just trying to give him that hunger from being on the bench and trying to build something up, and like a wind-up toy, just wind him up as much and then just let him go, right? Like maybe he's trying to get him mentally at the pace that's needed. I don't know. I'm spitting balls here, but it's just, there must be something coach-wise, technically-wise, like, of why he's not getting those minutes just yet, because he looks frighteningly good in pre-season.
I mean, I just don't think that Ten Hag feels like he's in a desperate enough situation to be able to bring in somebody, that's that young. Whereas I look at it and I'm saying, this needs to happen, and it needs to happen weeks ago. You're of the same mind. Harry Amos should have been getting minutes regularly throughout this season.
10
and
minutes
he's
here,
not.
10 minutes there, 15 minutes for that cup game,
Exactly.
half an hour
Just
for that
something
cup game.
little.
Like, yeah.
You've made the substitutions on defense multiple times late in the game. Why is he not one of them? He's not going to develop if you don't play him in these types of situations. And so it's just like it's a real head scratcher. And to your point, like Ethan Wheatley, he's probably mad because he's just been sitting on the bench all season. And you know we've seen what he can do for the academy team, and you know he probably brings something different than all of the strikers that you know we've been seeing throughout this season. You know, I mean, at least at the youth level, he was scoring more goals than any of our attackers. So like, why has he not gotten a chance? You know, I mean, we want to sit here and rotate all of these players, and you don't want to give the people that actually deserve it the opportunities. And it's just, it's baffling. And Amad Diallo's now probably getting impatient, wondering where did my minutes go? Because I thought that he looked pretty good at the start of the season, and now it's just been Rashford and Garnacho, which I think, you know, Garnacho has had, you know, I think he's been our standout performer thus far in terms of goals and, you know, inputs for goals. So, like, I'm just confused as to how Rashford's gotten this many minutes and not done anything.
I'm a bit lenient towards that. I mean, like, his mum did just pass away not long ago, and he, like, grief is a strange, like, you just don't know. It's a silent kind of killer. Like, is it strange? So he might still be going through some stages of grief or whatever. At least he's getting some minutes and trying to remain focused, but we don't know how much mentally that took him back, and he hasn't really set the world alight when he has been on the pitch since he's kind of come back. And so, yeah, I don't think the midfield were to blame, you know, with this one either. I think our gaps in defence, you know, from Delot and even De Ligt, and the space in between De Ligt and Martinez was too wide at times, and they haven't still clicked as a pairing yet. Like, individually, they're both behemoths defenders, and I think they're both quality. But as a pairing, obviously that doesn't happen overnight either. But yeah, and again, the attack was, of course, poor. But one of the reasons for that, we've spoken about Delot, is Bruno Fernandes. Now, before he had his crazy 2 red cards, one was rescinded in consecutive games, and he had a little bit of a break in Europe because he weren't allowed to play. He's come back. God, the vision is there. And whether it's with the end product, the final decision making sometimes, like, he had numerous opportunities at the end of this game, just the end of this game in particular, and it's a high and wide cross where no one was even there. And then he has a shot which is like 3 foot wide of the goal. And so when the whole team was in front of him, if you can't find a pass with 8 or 9 teammates in front of you, then fine, have a shot, but that product needs to be a better quality and he just hasn't been up to the standard of a Manchester United player, of captain of Manchester United, heck, of Bruno Fernandes' own standards. That's
what I was going to say.
He just has not been at that level, and usually when we play poorly as a team, Bruno Fernandes is the singular person who's had a 7 or an 8 out of 10 performance, and he comes up with a bit of magic towards the end. And now, this season, he's gone down a level or two. So, what is it about players signing new contracts at Manchester United and then just all of a sudden not playing well? Like, we just have a recent history of that. And I'm not saying that's the reason, but it's a coincidental event that he's signed the biggest contract at Manchester United, and now he's not. And you can tell he wants it, but it's just not happening for him, Sporadiclese. It's just.
Yeah. I mean, you know, his confidence and let's get it straight. His confidence for Manchester United is at an all-time low. For Portugal, it's you know, same stuff, different day. He is performing at a very high level. He's getting goals. He's getting assists. He's doing everything that he's supposed to do. And then I really don't want to liken his situation to this, but I'm going to do it anyways. It's like Paul Pogba. Whenever Pogba goes and played for whenever he would go and play for France, and he would just play absolutely out of his mind and have really good performances, link up France's play, score goals, create assists, opportunities even if they didn't get converted. And it feels almost like that's what's happening with Bruno, is that he goes and he plays for Portugal and he does so well. Like you see every single quality that we brought Bruno Fernandes in for, and the qualities that he showed over the past couple of seasons, and then they come back to Manchester United, and that's just gone. It's out the window. At this point, like you have to wonder if it really is the coaching. And I as much as I want to be able to say yes, I want Eric Ten Hag in. I want him to continue to build on this because again, Sir Alex Ferguson, his first 3 seasons were like 13th, second, and 13th in the league, and then he goes on to place no less than third for the next how long? 15 years. Phenomenal, right? But you look at this team right now, the state that it's in, with the quality of the players that it has, and you really have to wonder: is his mentality, Eric Ten Hag's mentality, and his play style, and the energy that his teams bring to the pitch, is that really sinking in yet?
I don't know. Like I said, this match against West Ham is going to have ramifications because, like myself, everyone is now thinking, what's going on? What is the problem? What is the solution? It's like something is toxic in the air. Like and some people are catching it at different times, and collectively throughout the season, it's like a game of Snake where the head is kind of changing all the time. And we're not traveling as a unit. We're traveling where some are ahead of the others, and the others are playing catch up, and then you'll kind of swap around and those people are now catching up and the others are kind of... It's just, we're not a cohesive unit. And we haven't been for a long time, since before Eric Ten Hag. And I think Eric Ten Hag has brought back some stability into the club as a whole. But there's still more issues going on. And I don't know what it is. I mean, how many people would you sell? Like, we think of last season, we're thinking... We would sell him, we'll sell him, we'll get rid of all... we would get rid of so many players. And we would just build around a core, like Rashford, Garnacho, Kobe Mainoo, and Martinez. And, just kind of build around that core with Højlund and whatever. But now, we've done that. We've sold a bunch of players. We've built around a core which aren't fit, which aren't, in form, and which aren't paying dividends. So what now? It's not like we can say, okay, yeah, right, well, we'll sell Delo, we'll sell Johnny Evans, even though he's been our best defender, but he's the only one we're going to get value for. I don't know, like, who do we sell? We don't sell Amad Diallo for 40 million and get in another couple of wingers. We were not going to sell Anthony, and even if we did, who are we going to sell him to, and who for? Is the right wing position really the problem, where we've got people like Sancho who didn't work, Amad Diallo who's not getting the best out of his minutes either, Garnacho can't play in every possession all the time, same as Rashford, they both prefer the left, so do we still have a question mark at the right wing? And but then we also have other questions in the midfield. Casemiro can't stay forever, Eriksen can't stay forever. It's just we can't keep selling all these players and rebuilding around a core for that result to not work. And I think Ten Hag has had 2 or 3 bites of the apple here at rebuilding around a core, and can't say any of them have really worked. So I don't know. Again, questioning everything. And like everyone else is, and nothing is real. It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's just
I mean, the thought is that you build a team that has a play style and parts that are interchangeable, right? And I feel like I look at this team and I say, each of these parts is shaped differently, and does not serve the same purpose. And so you try to slot them into a system that, in all reality, is relatively consistent, but they can't all perform the same functions. And so you also have the issue that at the back, we played this back four the most out of any back four combination this whole season, and that's a concern. It's not that that's a bad thing to have consistency in your team, but with how many competitions that we're in, the fact that they're not gelling well currently, the fact that there is no ability to rotate those players and get the same consistent results. And honestly, whenever we play this back four, I don't know that I want the results that this back four provides. I think we've lost more games with this back four than any back four that we played last season. And I don't think it's necessarily up to some of the individual players. I think there's one in particular that we just talked about that has really been of a huge, huge concern. And I'm looking at player ratings on a particular website and seeing that he's one of our top-rated players for this match, and I call BS. Diogo Dalot was not a top-rated player this game.
Oh
Diogo
my God, really?
Absolute booty. 7.3, which is what Fernandez got. Better than Mazraoui. Casemiro was the only one that was rated higher.
Where are you getting your ratings from?
Diogo Dalot. So this is on FOTMob, and FOTMob is apparently garbage because those. I mean, we look at those two players and we say this is what's wrong with the performance. And this is one of those things where it's like statistics does not imply proficiency, right? You can do all the right things on paper and perform very, very poorly. And I think that's really a case of what's happened here with both Fernandez and Diogo Dalot. They're rated highly because I'm sure that they did quite a few things, like their passing rating was high, and they had maybe a couple tackles and whatever.
Yeah.
But they did not perform well. Let's not get it twisted. Those were two of probably our worst players on the pitch. Sans maybe, in my opinion, Marcus Rashford. Rashford did not really impress me today. Not even in the first half where we were doing a lot of the good things that that we were doing and creating the opportunities. And I think he's the one out of the four that didn't really have a good solid opportunity for himself. And whenever all of your other players in that top four are getting opportunities and should be on the score sheet, and you're just blank, that speaks to the quality that you're bringing to the team too. And so again, it's crazy to look at this and say on paper those were our two best performers, and it's just embarrassing. I went through so many emotions, especially in that second half. Whenever they scored their first goal, I looked to round up every bit of alcohol that I had in the house because I was just so mad. And then we got the equalizer, and I was like, yay, maybe I don't need this. And then Mazraoui got injured, and I was like, oh, crap, that really sucks. And then we got scored on it again, and I was like really glad that I have all this alcohol here. Because this is just bad. And then Bruno Fernandes, wasteful. We had 12 minutes of extra time, and he wasted 3 and 4 opportunities for us to get the ball into a good area. His shots were off the mark. His crosses, just to your point, just over everybody towards the back post, and just everything about it was off. And so, like, that's, to your point, the player that you look to and say, this is who needs to be performing to get us the result that we need whenever nobody else is doing it. And he just looked wasteful.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned some of the ratings earlier on from FOTMob, and so I thought, okay, I'll check out the BBC kind of ratings. So I'm looking at West Ham ratings. Their player of the match was Somerville, with a rating of 7.87. I think these are voted by the people on the app. So their best player got 7.87, and their worst player with a rating is Lucas Paqueta with 6.33, right? So 7.87 to 6.33, and so that's their average, sort of the top and bottom. So our best player was Onana, rated at 4. 4. Garnacho 3.88, Casemiro 3.82, Ericsson 3.75, Mazraoui 3.72. It goes on and on and on, finishing with Rashford at 3.05. So
you
not
said that
one
was BBC
player.
Sport.
Sorry,
You said that was who? BBC Sport.
BBC Sport. Yeah, so I've got the app on my phone and I'm going.
Look, the English media is out to get Manchester United anyway.
I understand that, but my point is like. Obviously, ratings are a personal opinion unless you go by certain stats, and I don't know what stats they go by, etc., etc. But that's how I feel that we did, honestly. And it's like, yes, Mazraoui actually had a good game, and yes, it's unfortunate, but we'll get onto him now, like in a second. Where did I go? Because I want to be talking about it. But yes, he had a good game, but I feel that we should have had a better performance from pretty much everyone on the pitch. Like,
absolutely.
I don't think any one of them, even though Mazraoui had a good game, played close to their potential or to their limit. And that's the problem. Like, you can see Højlund working hard and being strong and trying to hold up the ball now. You can see he's working on that game, like, and that is advancing. He is advancing as a striker, but again, he's not playing at his level in terms of the raw pace or the aggressiveness. We talk about it all the time, no tenacity. Where's that killer instinct to get a goal? This isn't the first time where we've gone into a first half performance and we've had a whole bunch of opportunities and not taken them. I think we've scored the least amount of goals in the first half in the Premier League. I think we're tied at 2. With Leicester, it's like, I don't know, mate. Like, we're just not... That killer instinct is missing. From the whole squad, from the management, from the whole club. Like, you can see it in Europe. We don't have that killer instinct in Europe either. We're toothless. And a club of the size of Manchester United to be toothless...
So we've missed, according to FOTMob, we have missed 24 big chances in the Premier League.
Okay.
24. Bruno Fernandes has missed 5. Marcus Rashford has missed 4. Diogo Dalot has missed 3. Casemiro has missed a couple. Joshua Zirkzee, how has he only missed 2? That's a poor statistic. He's missed way more than 2 big chances. This is a team that I think has been so beaten down by the fact that they're missing sitters, because let's be realistic, they are missing sitters regularly, that whenever they get the next chance, they just can't do it. And, Mazraoui, I think, I think that in part his, poor performance is due to him having to cover for other people's poor performances. I think that Mazraoui has, up to this point, been one of our top 3 players of the season, if not the top player of the season for us. He has been consistent on defense. He's been assisting, facilitating the offense. He's been a solid player. But the fact of the matter is he's had to accommodate all these players that are not performing well or that aren't gelling properly. And so I look at this game and I can't say with a straight face Mazraoui played poorly. I didn't like how Mazraoui played. I loved how Mazraoui played. He was one of the few players that I thought really came out and gave it his all and put everything on the line for the badge. As opposed to, other people just like actively just letting people walk by them, not tracking their man properly, poor passing, you name it. I thought that he did look good. I would certainly, Casemiro, I think on FOTMob was man of the match. In my opinion, it was Mazraoui. Yes, Casemiro scored the goal. He had an okay game. I feel like he didn't put too many feet wrong, but he also didn't really, facilitate us in the ways that we probably needed him to. I think his offensive potency has been much greater than his defensive potency all season. And aside from the goal, I didn't really see a whole lot of either one. It seems like he was just playing safe, and then he had one good opportunity. Whereas Mazraoui is taking risks and making tackles and taking people on and moving the ball up the pitch quickly and trying to get us out of the back, out of our defensive zone. And it to me, it's a no brainer. He was my man in the match today. I don't know about you.
Um, yeah, I don't think anyone gets a man of the match today. It's like it was a striking performance. Yeah, he was one of our better performance, but it wasn't man of the match worthy. And now the fact that he's potentially injured well, we don't know how, but that is going to cause us a lot of trouble over the Christmas period if he's not available. I'm watching. I've got Arsenal and Liverpool on in the background at the moment, and now I'm watching the energy.
I wanted to.
Yeah, I'm careful of your internet. Sort out your internet, and I'll allow it. Okay, all right. So, but
Fair
they're
enough.
playing with an energy. You can just visually tell they're top of the table. They're competing as a team. Their energy and movement. As soon as someone's on the ball, there's movement. Like they're working together as units. It's just a visual difference to how elite teams are playing and we are not. And I don't. Yeah. But Mazraoui has that type of energy. He's one of the people that you see that gets on the ball, he's buzzing, he's looking for answers, he's looking for an outward, he's trying to run an extra half a yard for the team to try and... He's one of those people that is a good, positive influence, but there's still a couple of bad apples that go back to their previous metaphor of the snake and the head and the tail's always catching up and changing one another. But Mazraoui is one of those people that's trying to give that energy. Kobe Mainu is another one, but again, he's been out. Hoyland's another one, but no one can seem to get him the ball in order for him to use that energy. Diallo, we're unsure of. Rashford, we're unsure of. Garnacho's hit and miss. Bruno is not up to scratch. When we're saying Casemiro's had a good game, we're in trouble. And Eriksen, he's been our player of the season so far, but you can't be that all the time. Like Johnny Evans, he needs a bit of a break every now and then. He played in Europe a few days ago as well. It's just, you need to... And we talk about squad rotation. Erik ten Hag was getting booed for doing squad rotation for literally a few weeks ago, and now he's not doing that squad rotation. So it's like just when things get busy, he's trying to stick with a plan and stick with the main team. And look, we're getting more injuries now. Players like Amas aren't getting minutes. It's just... I don't know where we're going to go from here. Like, why do people even want to join this toxic nature of a club at the moment? We're literally... Ineos are being reported to have secret meetings with managers all week. And it's still happening hours ago. There's news articles coming out. Hold secret talks with multiple managers behind Erik ten Hag's back. Omar Barada jets out of UK for secret Man United manager talks. Like, it's such a... I don't know. It's such a clusterfuck. With everything, it's FUBAR. That's what it is. It's FUBAR.
I thought that I was going to be the one to break on the cursing first today.
Mate, the YouTube algorithm is lucky it's 43
were,
minutes in, because...
I thought I was the favorite.
I just don't recognise the situation. I don't understand what the problems are. Like, I used to coach, I used to play at low level, but I've got a mind of how things work, and I have no understanding of the behemoth size of Manchester United as a club from within. But you just think, as a fan, as an ex-player, low level, as an ex-coach, you try and think, it can't... I see nothing but solutions, what I would do on the training field sort of thing. And you'd think Erik ten Hag would see... But you're not seeing those results. The formation at the weekend where Mazraoui was played in the number 10 role, I thought was genius. I sent a message to you. never would have predicted that lineup or formation, but I liked it. 3 at the back with 2 wing back in the 4, so 3-4-2. It was a really cool formation and a nice idea with Mazraoui. It was inventive with Bruno being out. Yeah, we could have done this, we could have done that, but Erik ten Hag for the first time showed a bit of invention and a bit of creativity against Jose Mourinho, by the way, who got sent off for being frustrated. He wanted to put on a show, not a show, it's like he wanted to show his tactical fluency and do something. It nearly worked. It nearly confused. Mourinho could never have predicted that lineup and that team and that setup, and it nearly worked for us. But
to be fair, the lineup that you sent me was not the lineup that they actually played with.
That was the formation was slightly different, but yeah.
I love the Christmas tree personally, but that is not what we played. Dallo was on the right, Martinez was on the left. We played our standard formation. We just had Mazraoui at center attacking mid. To me, I thought that was inventive, having Mazraoui play there instead, because Mazraoui is very good at cutting out opportunities or cutting out the forward pass. And so having that higher up the pitch, yeah, I think that worked to pretty good effect. And that was yet another game that I felt like we should have won. I didn't get to see all of the second half, so unfortunately, I saw that second goal a little bit late. But again, even out of position, Mazraoui looked good. It looked like he was performing well in very unknown territory. Let's be really honest. That is not a position that you would see Mazraoui in almost any given game week. But we played it, and I thought that it looked good for the most part. I thought we had a lot of good opportunities. But, again, it's just how many times are we going to drop points and say, okay, this is still this is still a work in progress, and this is going to come out good, and it's going to work.
Yeah, I don't know. If Ten Hag was on a ticking time bomb before, like I said, this match against West Ham, this result, this level of performance that we've seen time and time again, cannot continue. And we can't keep selling the fringe players and building around the core if things above aren't working either. So again, it's a foobar situation. It's a bit of a clusterfuck. There's loads. It's not just as simple as replacing the manager, but then maybe replacing the manager is part of the solution. So I don't know what to think or what to do. The fact that the club are still beating around the bush and going behind Ten Hag's back, in my opinion, from what I understand, we can't really afford to sack Ten Hag. I don't know all the financials, but we're pretty close on the line with I think we were minus $300 million or something. We're not in a great position, and the fact that he's just signed an extension literally a couple of months ago, I'm sure there's a fat old if you sack me release clause sort of thing, and that could be another 30 million, and I just don't know if we can afford that, and then afford to bring in yet another man. There's Xavi's been mentioned, Andre Iniesta is what I mentioned the other day. It's just there's lots of options all of a sudden sprung out of nowhere. Zidane has apparently had a visit to Old Trafford in the recent weeks, so it's crazy. And I don't know where it's heading.
I would love nothing more than to have Zinedine Zidane, because I think he's one of the few managers that's going to come in and say, look, you're going to play my style of football and you're going to do it properly, and this is how it's going to go. And actually have the authority to back it up properly. I think, Erik ten Hag, yes, he's coming from Ajax. He's had a lot of success at Ajax. Ajax and Manchester United are not comparable. They're just not. And so, I think that he's tried to instill a style of play that can be effective, but it has not been effective under him. How much of it is, how he's treating players in the dressing room, on the training pitch, who knows? But nobody in the team looks like they're enjoying playing right now. Nobody. And so if the players aren't enjoying their football, that is a managerial issue. But it's also a 14 to 18 million dollar hit if we were to say, you know what, Eric Ten Hag, we don't want you, goodbye. So how are you then going to bring in a top-notch quality coach? And you're going to have to replace more than just the head coach. A lot of head coaches want to bring in their own coaching staff, their own assistant coach, their own set piece coaches, their own goalkeeper coaches, you name it. So you talk about, okay, well, what if we just release Eric Ten Hag from his contract? It goes way deeper than that.
Yes.
You can't just release him and say, oh, well, that's the only hit that we take. We take a lot bigger hit than just that. And so, at this point, it is not. It's becoming increasingly unlikely that we get rid of him, because it is increasingly likely that we get knocked out of the competitions that are going to make us additional money. We're not looking like we're going to go through in Europe. We're probably not going to go through. I could see us being knocked out of the domestic cup within the next couple of matches.
Well, we're playing Leicester midweek, so I'm going to be doing a match preview of that. So that's going to be interesting in a cup game. And look, we're expected to go far in the cups, and if we get knocked out by Leicester, I think that.
Yeah, that would be a pretty damning result, right? But again, like, we've got 3 points out of 3 matches in Europe. We're not. I look at that and I say we're not going through. There's almost no way that we even make the playoff to go. Look, I get it. 9 through 24 have a playoff between each other to see who plays against the top 8. The way that we're looking, we're not even going to get a win. And if we don't get a win, there's absolutely no way that we sit in the top 24 for that.
Look, let's shed a bit of positivity on that fact before we go on to for or against, right? We're undefeated in Europe. Okay. Now, yes, we haven't scored, we haven't got 3 points in each, but it is 3 points.
Undefeated and having good form are two different things.
Let me stick the landing. So we're undefeated in Europe, and yes, it's like 9 to 24 to then go into a playoff. But if we can keep grinding out those results, we're going to be. If we finish if we finish in 25th place, sack him. But we're going to qualify as long as we keep on this trajectory in the top 24. A win would be great to solidify that, but most chances are every man and his dog is going to qualify from that unless you've lost every single game. So look, we're probably going to go through to the playoff stage. Can we get a team together mentally ready enough for those stages where we can actually turn those draws into wins? Because it's a fine margin, and yes, we haven't been fantastic, but in Europe specifically is a time where you can turn up on the night and it can change a season. We've seen it before. It's not going to happen this season because I think it's going to get from bad to worse. But especially if we go out to Leicester. But I'm just saying, we're undefeated in Europe, and I think we could find extra gear still. We can turn those draws into. We can take confidence from not being defeated yet in Europe, and those lads will take confidence from that. But the performances in the Premier League aren't helping, are they?
We don't even need an extra gear. What we need is to finish. We can't finish. Again, 24 opportunities. We're how many games in? 9, 10 games into the season. We're missing 2 big chances every single match on average. That in and of itself is a very damning statistic, because it's like we're doing everything else right to create those opportunities, but if you can't finish, if you can't do the one thing that football is about, and that's score goals, then it doesn't matter how good your build-up play is. And I don't think it's Ruud van Nistelrooy's fault. I don't even, I'm wondering whether or not it's Eric Ten Hag's fault, but, clearly there is something wrong with the confidence of the players. And so, I just don't know where the results come from at this point. But you mentioned it being you just need a good night to go through on in a cup or in a Europa League. It also means that if you're not doing that regularly, all that another team needs is one good night to go through. And I don't want to bet on us having one good night every so often. And if we have those good nights, I want them to be in the Premier League. We need them to be in the Premier League because we're at the bottom. We're in the bottom half of the table, and we've been there basically all season, if not the entirety of the season, and that's not good enough.
14th.
We need to at least be in the top half.
Not even 14th. God. I think there was a
That's
lot
the
of
bottom half still.
Yeah, there was a lot of understanding last season because of just the sheer amount of injuries, and yet, but that's not an excuse this season because we've had time. Yeah, I don't know. It's really depressing. Just such a really shocking result today. The fact that West Ham are now above us in the league and they haven't had a great. They're not a great team at the moment, and
They played Manchester City. They played Tottenham. They played Liverpool. They have had a harder schedule than we have.
Yeah, but
and that's why I thought that today was going to be tightly contested, and that's why I thought that we were going to lose, and that's exactly what happened today.
They're going
to
get
it shouldn't have happened given our first half performance.
Yeah, it should have been blown away, but oh gosh! All right, let's move on to some for or against, man, because I'm okay. Anyway, so
sorry about that.
Yeah, there's lots going on, and again, anyway, we've talked all about it, but yeah, let's move to some for or against. So for or against is just a segment that we do to finish off the podcast where we try and come up with some thought-provoking questions or statements, and we offer you both sides of the coin for you guys to all make your decision towards the end. So one of us will be for or against, and you said I'm going to be for this week, and and you're going to be against. So without further ado, if you are enjoying the podcast, make sure you hit a follow and a subscribe for us, and let's do some for or against. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am TheSaffronMan, and this is For or Against with the RedVsRed podcast. I'm here with Sporadiclese. How you doing, Sporadiclese?
Hanging in there, all things considered.
All things considered. Right, so I've got a couple of questions for you. Now, I'm going to be doing the for side of the segment this week. You're going to be doing the against side of things. So the first question that I've got for you in for or against is as follows. We have... After United just losing out to West Ham today, we're now sitting in 14th of the table. It's not looking great on all fronts in the Premier League. Is Europe out of the question already for next season?
I personally would say absolutely. We're not getting wins against the teams that we have been playing in our Europa League competition. We're also losing games like today against teams that aren't even in any of these competitions. We can't score goals. We don't look particularly great on defense. I think really our best games have come against teams that are just completely and totally out of their depth in terms of the quality, and and even still sometimes those can feel like nail biters. So I just with the squad that we have, with the confidence that the players have, because to some degree I don't think it's necessarily the players' fault. I also don't think it's entirely the coach's fault. There's just so much wrong. There's so much rot in the club as a whole, and it's been accruing for years, right? It's not something that's new. It's something that we've been experiencing, year in, year out. That we're trying to pull out all the rotted boards and replace those boards, but whenever we're doing that, we're not replacing them like for like, and we're not rebuilding the same house that we've had whenever we were having success. And so that's been a problem, and it's going to continue to be a problem for the next 3 to 4 years, in my opinion. So is Europe out of the question for next season? Absolutely. Is it out of the question for the season after that? Probably. I wouldn't put that out of contention. So, it's things have to change, and they have to change quickly if we're going to have any hope of making, even the Europa Conference League.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Start discussion. Again, I'll go back to what I mentioned earlier on in the podcast. We are still undefeated in Europe, and it's still like the outside chance of winning the Europa League. But we are among the favourites to win the Europa League, no matter if we get through in 24th or 9th or 8th or whatever. We do have a good enough squad that can put in a string of performances in a tournament style kind of league like the Europa League, or we've got Leicester in midweek, so it's going to be, if after this performance against West Ham, that match against Leicester is vital to our season, because if we lose that game to Leicester, it's all down to the Europa League, and we haven't technically won a game in Europa League. We haven't won a game in like 12 months in Europe or something. So it's I understand that there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of things riding on it. But we do have the ability in the squad to put on a string of performances. Everyone's playing at a below average standard at the moment, and we're still undefeated in Europe. So can we get much worse as a team over the course of the season in Europe? I bloody hope not. But yeah, I think they've all got levels to go to rise up to, and especially in Europe. So again, if we can turn those negative average ratings and everyone just goes up 0.5 or 0.1, heck, after today they all need to go up by 0.3 or something. But yeah, definitely possible. It's Europe next season is definitely in question. It's doubtful. It's unlikely. But I do think that we have the ability to turn it around and turn those draws into wins. It's fine margins. It's only an extra goal scored or just keep one more challenge out. I think we're really trying to turn up in Europe mentally. And it nearly worked against Fenerbahce. Nearly worked with the lineup and the system that they had. So, yeah, I nearly got schooled by Jose Mourinho. But I think we've got it, man. I think it's in the bag. But it's such an outside chance. I'm willing to give you this one. I think Europe could potentially be out of the question already in many fans' eyes. I would say at the very least. I think there's not very hopeful people like myself that can see us putting a string of performances in Europe. So yeah, I think with the majority, I think you probably got this one, man.
Yeah, I mean, I was hopeful at the beginning of the season that this was going to be a revelation of of a season, and the more and more that I see of it, the more and more we just look like a bunch of good parts in a bad system, or a bunch of good parts that don't click together. And so I don't see us winning Europe. And the only other way for us to get into that type of competition is by performing well in the league, and I think the results speak for themselves thus far.
Yeah, absolutely. Just trying to fix that. Is that not going to work for me? It's all out of. I'm so good at this. There we go. That's better. Right. Good stuff. Okay, so yeah, let's get down to Sporadiclese. It's pretty much done and dusted. Let us know what you guys think down below. The second question that I have for Sporadiclese is: selling Aaron Wan-Bissaka was a mistake. We've obviously just played against West Ham. We sold him to West Ham in the summer for 15 million. We bought in Mazraoui for like 13 million. So I guess as a right back per right back, it wasn't a bad move. But in terms of the versatility, which I don't know. Let me know what you think. Was selling Aaron Wan-Bissaka a mistake? He pretty much got man of the match. Yeah, in many people's eyes, he got man of the match today. He was just really good. It was the difference.
I mean, I don't know that it was necessarily the difference. Alejandro Garnacho still had plenty of opportunities today, and so against a player like Aaron Wan-Bissaka that you associate with, top-notch one-on-one defending, for him to have as many opportunities as he did, I don't think that defensively Aaron Wan-Bissaka was the absolute fortress that we were used to seeing. For us, I think that I think we should have sold him, but I think that we should have sold him for a lot more money. And we've talked about this before. We brought him in for 40 million. We made him better and sold him for less than half of what we brought him in for.
Right.
And so, no, selling him was not a mistake. The amount that we sold him for was an absolute garbage. He's easily a 50 million outgoing for us. In my opinion, the quality that he has, But we also brought in somebody that basically has been performing all of those same duties, except he's been better on the
Duty.
attack in Mazraoui. And so to me, I think that it was a very good decision to offload him. I just wish we would have gotten more money for him so that we could have potentially not have to worry about sacking Eric Ten Hag mid-season because he's not getting the results.
Yeah, I think just in comparison though, again from right back to right back, Mazraoui and Wan-Bissaka was potentially a good deal. But we're not really using Mazraoui at right back as much because of our left back issues, and I much prefer Mazraoui at left back than Diogo Dalot. And I just think if we would have sold Diogo Dalot for 15, 20 million or whatever, would I have preferred the option of Mazraoui on the left and Wan-Bissaka on the right? And I'm thinking absolutely I probably would. I just don't. Dalot has never really come out with the certified end production. I know Wan-Bissaka hasn't either, but he's always got the production of being that last ditch defender. Those tackles, those that's what he defends. Not many people get past him unless they're generational talents like Garnacho every now and then. And everyone that goes like so many people in Premier League history say, yeah, he's a real tough one to go up against, Wan-Bissaka. So, like Jack Grealish said when he was at Villa, yeah, you couldn't get past Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and he's like, this was really good. And he's got that aura about him, or around professionals and fans alike, of just how good he is. Delot's never had that. You can't say, oh, he's always been a really good defender. Oh, he's got a really good cross in him. He's got a really good driven pass. Oh, he's got a really good long shot. He hasn't done anything really good for Manchester United over a consistent period. Whereas Wan-Bissaka had that from day one of coming into the club. And so that's where my decision making is. Like, I don't know. I think Wan-Bissaka is still the peak. And I think his ceiling is way more higher than Delot's ever will be. I don't think Dalot will peak at Manchester United. He's not amazing defensively. He's not the best creatively. He's not the best finisher. He doesn't work harder than your opposition because he always gives up chasing back. So yeah, massive questions on him. And yeah, to your point, maybe the valuation as well, 50 million. I think there's a lot of eyebrows raised. But I mean, man, Dalot is a problem now.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of who we brought in for him, it was basically in terms of dollar amount equivalent, except Mazraoui actually has a better tackling percentage, has not lost his man in important moments as much as Aaron Wan-Bissaka has, and is a much greater threat going forward. So, in terms of selling him to bring in Mazraoui, that was absolutely the good call. I think the issue ultimately, to your point, does kind of come down to Dalot as well as Luke Shaw. I mean, Luke Shaw was out since February, goes and plays in the Euros, and then is out for another 4 months.
Yeah.
Like at what point, and I don't think that Manchester United has the ability to say no, you can't. But like, at what point do we veto Luke Shaw going to play for England? Because we can't be paying him his regular salary the whole time, and then the only people that get the benefits is the national team.
Yeah.
Like that is absolutely poor. And Terrell Malacia, you think that he should have come back months ago, and he should have, but he keeps on picking up another injury or aggravating the one that he's had. And so, yeah, we have had to play Diogo Dalot on the left-hand side, where he's not looked good, where he's been very poor, and now he's brought that form over to the right. So the fact that he's had to play out of position for the better part of a year or more, that's probably where his lack of form comes from. He's not a left back; he's a right back. And him and Mazraoui should be competing for, the right back position, and we should have Luke Shaw on the left. And in that setup, Aaron Wan-Bissaka does not have a chance of getting into that lineup.
Yeah, so all I'm hearing is basically that I've won that round because we've spent literally 5 minutes complaining that Wan-Bissaka was a mistake to be sold. So I think, You were disagreeing with the price, the amount that he was sold for and everything else. So, and you just talked about how the switch was okay for Mazraoui, but Delo is the problem. We should have sold Delo and kept Mazraoui and Wan-Bissaka.
Disagree. Shaw should not be allowed to play for England going forward.
Yeah, but that's not part of the question.
It's not, but it solves the exact problem that we're having.
What's the problem that we're having?
The problem that we're having is that we don't have a left back.
No.
And
yeah,
every time he goes and plays for England, he gets injured, and then we don't have a left back, and so he has to play out of position.
Mazraoui
this was the first time that Mazraoui played out of position in a long time. Diogo Dalot had to play out of position most of last season, where he did not perform particularly well, but he was always available, which is why that was happening. And now he doesn't even know how to perform in his natural position. And so that comes down to man management and squad rotation. So I don't think that we should be playing Mazraoui on the left all the time. I think that he should be playing on the right where he is a natural. Same thing with Diogo Dalot. And again, they should be competing for that spot because both of them perform better in the setup that Erik ten Hag has created than Aaron Wan-Bissaka does.
You're completely complicating. It's fine, but you're completely complicating this whole situation. I've just been saying that Wan-Bissaka's ceiling and peak is a lot higher than Diogo Dalot's ever will be.
I would disagree with that.
How? After watching today's performance and what any performance, including Diogo Dalot
for
this
all
season.
of the reasons that I just stated, he's had to play out of position. And
no, he's always been a left and right back. He's always been a two. Yes, he preferred the right back.
He's been a right back, is what he's been, is what he should be. But he's had to play at left back for so long. If you look at where he plays for Portugal, he plays on the right. He doesn't play on the left.
But through the young academy, he played both sides.
Brought him in to be a right
so
back.
It's not a stranger to him.
Yeah, well, look, I played everywhere in youth. That doesn't mean that I'm going to be able to play everywhere whenever I get into the next level. And so again, like the angles are different, the type of players that you're playing against are different. The challenge of playing on two different sides, which I do have experience in, it's two completely different things. And so to have him going back and forth and switching, it's not good for a player whenever you're having to do all of these different things. You're trying to be good at both things, but it makes you not good in either one. And that comes down to who you're bringing into the team and what team you're playing week in, week out.
Well, there we go. I hope you guys make your decision. I'm grabbing the win on that one. It's fine. But okay, so the third and final question. Is our season already over? We've already kind of slightly gone up against that topic. You are against this, Sporadiclese, so please fill me with some hope that our season is going to come fruitful towards the end.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you look at it, we're 9 games in and we've missed 24 big opportunities. That's almost 3 opportunities per match. It's a matter of converting your chances. It's a matter of just finishing the opportunities that you have in front of you. That's what we haven't done. Obviously, I think that we're pretty well away from the quality of some of those teams that are in the top 3 at the moment. I'm not going to name names because I don't like one of them in particular, as I think we all don't. But 2, excuse me. I think that our quality shows in the amount of chances that we create. It's just a matter of finishing. At some point, you have to look at this and say, okay, we're going to start finishing. We've missed so many opportunities, you can't continue to miss. It's the law of large numbers, right? You do it over and over and over again, you're bound to get the result that you want. And I think that all it takes is going to be a little bit of confidence from 1 or 2 players at a time even. We don't even need all of these players firing home for goals all the time. We just need 1 or 2 of them week in, week out. I don't care if they rotate, and it's possible that they do in terms of their ability to score that goal. Somebody's going to get it right. Somebody has to. And there's no way that doesn't happen. I think we have too much quality up top in our offensive options to say that we are not going to come good on the opportunities that we have been given as well as created, because we have created the opportunities in a lot of different ways as opposed to just being given them. So, defensively, I think we can do a little bit better in a number of ways. I think that our back four, our primary back four, is very prone to leaving their markers and just switching off for a moment. That's something that needs to fix, that we need to fix too. Just get your head up, stay in the game. When in doubt, run back towards your goal, because there are so many times where we're just it's just somebody getting behind, and it's because somebody's standing there, losing track of their man, paying too much attention to the ball. Just if you're not moving, just move back further. Just move back a little bit and put people in different. It's easier to move forwards than it is backwards, and so we get caught trying to move backwards when it's too late. So defensively, yes, we can improve. Offensively, we just need to convert. All the pieces are there. We just need the conversions and the wherewithal to to convert the opportunities, as well as limit the opportunities that are being created by the other teams.
Yeah, so obviously I mentioned earlier on in the podcast, that we can put in a string of performances in Europe because we're undefeated and it's that and the other. But for the sake of argument, since I'm arguing for that, I see it all depends on Wednesday against Leicester. We've just lost against West Ham. This result is going to have ramifications on the morale, on everyone, on the club, on the fans, on the players, on the families, on absolutely everyone. If we don't pick ourselves up in a couple of days' time against Leicester, things could get from bad to worse real quick. The fans might be saying, "Oh, we're out of this cup. We're just down to one cup in the Europa League," and I can't see a way back. I don't know. It's been. I feel like we're in Temple of Doom at the moment, and the whole boulder's just chasing down. There's just no getting away from the inevitable crush that's going to happen. We're just delaying we need that crush, and I don't know. We need to pick ourselves up after it happens. I don't know. We're trying to change. I don't see a way where we can fix the 1001 problems it takes in order to put. Again, I'm watching the Arsenal-Liverpool game. That energy that we were talking about, the movement, the willingness to want to do well for the team and to play for the shirt, the willingness to want to score goals, the fun of beating opponents and having these high-octane moments, and the glory of victory and everything else. I don't know if we can solve 1001 problems in enough time to then start turning some of those draws into victories, maybe. I think there are just so many questions. However many problems there are, there's 100 questions to each of those problems that we think that we've got, and there's like a bazillion fucking fans. It's just, and they're all right, most of them. Sometimes, do you know what I mean? It's just chaos, and I just can't. I don't know what the solution is. I don't know how they get out of it. I can't imagine the pressures that are going on in and around the players and the stuff. But it's well deserved because of everything that's been happening. And but yeah, I think lots of people are losing faith. But I think our season's done. We can't get anything in the Premier League. We're 14th at the moment, and we're watching these other teams that are competing at the top, and it's a different standard of football and we're not meeting at all. And Leicester have an opportunity to kick us while we're down. And then Europe hasn't been great either. I can't see it, man. I think that's it. I've kind of... The performance against West Ham today has knocked out all hope and positivity that we can come out of this season with a trophy. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, we lose. We get knocked out of this cup, and then we get knocked out of Europa League, and we have the Premier League to focus on, and I think that would be honestly best course of action, and we can probably salvage something.
If we were 8th or something, I would understand that, because we could say, "Oh, Europe's a distraction," and this, but mate, even if we were to focus on the Premier League for the rest of this season, we'd be lucky to get 8th.
I mean, eighth is literally 2 points away. That's one win.
I'm going over from the start of the season up until now. I haven't seen enough.
That's not what we're talking about. We're
Now,
talking
is our
about
season
what
over?
the season's going to end up being.
From what I've
at this
seen,
point.
in the first quarter of this season, I do not see any silverware or progression at the end of that in 3 quarters' time. That's what I'm trying to say, from what I've seen. We're not taking our chances.
Silverware and the season being over are two different things. We could still make Champions League and not win
No,
any
let's
trophies.
be realistic. We're not going to make Champions League next season.
I'm saying that it's possible. Okay?
Right, but we're not going to, though, are we?
We are 6 points away from a Champions League position. That's 2 wins.
Yeah, but that's also including
realistically,
6 or 7 of those people in front of us to be dropping points. And yeah, throughout the course of the season they will. But do you think we're going to go on a run and we're going to
again? We've missed the most big chances that have been created out of any team in the Premier League. All it takes.
But
is
we've missed the
conversion of a
most
couple
big
of
chances
goals.
created in the Premier League.
Yeah, well, that tells me that, again, we are creating them. We just need to finish them. And so that's a confidence issue. All it takes is a couple of good performances in the league, because that's where we need it the most. We're not doing it in Europe. Okay, fine. If we don't do it in the Cups, that's fine. As long as we come good in the league, and I think that we will. I think that Garnacho is going to pick it up. I think that Rasmus Højlund is going to start getting the goals that he was able to get last season.
From
Bruno
what
Fernandes
evidence
has
are you
to pick
picking
it
up this
obviously.
information? Oh, if Garnacho does well, or if Højlund... We've been saying Højlund to score goals for a year. We've been wanting Garnacho to start putting consistent performances for a year. Rashford's going AWOL. Arman's not turning up. Bruno's gone AWOL.
They just have low confidence.
But they've had low confidence. That's the point. What is going through your mind to say that confidence is going to be reboosted or rebuilt? Because I haven't seen any evidence that any confidence is being rebuilt from the performances that we're seeing on the pitch. You know?
You don't create that many opportunities and think, oh, I'm never going to score. You create all those opportunities and say, man, I'm going to get the next one. And that's all that it takes is, I'm going to get the next one.
But when
and
you don't get the next one,
in particular,
when you
and
continue
Rasmus
to not
Højlund
get the
are
next
two
one,
players that are going to sit there and say, I'm going to get the next one. I'm going to get the next one. Rashford, at this point, I almost don't even think about him. I don't know why he's still in the lineup at times, because he has no confidence. I don't think that he believes he's going to score his next opportunity. And so, like, at what point do we just say Amad Diallo and Alejandro Garnacho are our right and left wing options, and that's it? And you bench Rashford. At what point do you say, Bruno Fernandes, you're our captain, that's great. We're going to give the ban to Martinez because he's the only other person that's really capable of having that. And we're going to put Xerxes into the position that he's basically been performing whenever he's operated as a striker this whole time. It cannot be that we allow underperforming players to continue to play week in, week out. And as much as I hate to say it, Bruno Fernandes is underperforming, and I don't hate to say Marcus Rashford is not performing.
But this is
Get
what I'm
them on the
saying.
bench for a couple.
This is exactly what I've been saying throughout the whole podcast. Everyone is underperforming. You can't just take out the starting 11 and replace them with it, because we don't have the squad depth for that, with the injuries and everything going on else as well. We have to play out of form people, even though they're out of confidence, like you say, but no confidence is being built. This is what I'm saying. It doesn't matter how many chances you create if you don't take them. And yeah, you can have the mentality, I'll get the next one, I'll get the next one. But when that goes on for weeks, months and months, and like you get knocked out of competitions, you lose more points in the league. Yeah, like one goal can get you going. The damage is done already. If we lose against Leicester, that's the mental. Like West Ham took us out for 6 today, and now if we go to Leicester, they're going to be well up for it and beat us in the cup. That's a sucker punch. We don't have any. Yes, we're only 6 points behind in the league, but we're not progressing. We're not going to go on a run of 20 wins in a row. We're not going to do that. We're not capable of doing that. So yeah, I don't. It all depends on Leicester either way. But I don't have the hope that Sporadiclese has got. Yeah, you can have the mentality. I'll get the next one. I'll get the next one. Højlund's had that for over a year, and where's that got him? It's got him 5 goals and 2 assists or something in 30 appearances. So I don't know. I'm not as hopeful. I'm pretty annoyed.
5 goals. He was our second leading goal scorer last season.
Sorry?
With like 10 or 12 goals.
Who was?
Hoyland? Hoyland had like 10 or 12 goals last season.
Yeah, but mate, that should be
He was our
something
second highest scorer.
That should be... Yeah. But that should be for the 5th or 6th person down the chain, not the 2nd. He should be getting 20...
And I don't disagree with you.
Right.
I don't disagree with you there. But, again...
But 15 goals isn't a lot, is it?
It's dependent on other players, too. Like, Rasmus Hoyland has not been getting the service that he needs.
Okay, look, I'm not singling him out. I'm saying everyone is underperforming. And yeah, you're saying he's got second most goals in the squad for 50. That's not a lot. So even that is underperforming. 15 goals for second place. Are you kidding me? You go tell Ali Cole, Dwight York, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Eric Cantona that Hoyland's getting praised for getting 15 goals in a season. Mate, it's not good enough. Second, that's what I mean. That should be a lot higher standard than that. We aren't scoring. We're not taking the goals. We're not. It's just not.
You're missing the fact that most of our team is young, is under the age of 25
We are
years old.
14th in the league. I don't care how young your players are.
Probably a similar, comparable position after the World Cup 2 years ago, and then look what happened. Marcus Rashford goes on a tear. Our team starts performing up to the same level as the catalyst that Marcus Rashford was, and we actually finish well in the Premier League. So don't tell me it's not possible and that our season's over. I want to have at least some shred of optimism.
Mate,
here.
that's the question.
Like,
Is the
otherwise,
season
what
over?
do we do with this for?
That's what I'm arguing for. That's the question. Is the season over? That's my job to argue that our season is over.
And so again, I don't see it.
I don't see your positivity. I can't. But let us know what you guys think down below. It's all good. Anything else to kind of wrap things up there, Sporadiclese?
Oh man, I hope we come good sooner rather than later.
Is Eric Ten Hag still going to be manager by the next time we speak?
Say again?
Is Eric Ten Hag still going to be manager by the next time we speak?
Yeah. I think it doesn't even matter what the result is midweek. I think he's still going to be there. Well, he'll be in charge at the helm for Chelsea.
Oh God, I don't know what's happening to our club. Let us know what you guys think down below. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the follow and subscribe on your way out. And we'll catch you guys. You see me on Tuesday for the match preview for Leicester. That's going to be a joy to behold. And then you'll catch Sporadiclese on Friday as well. So yeah, till then, I'll see you guys next time. See you later. Peace.